There is a peculiar heaviness that settles upon the soul, a realization that the person staring back has become a stranger to the potential they once held. It is a moment of profound disconnection between who you are and the version of yourself that has remained unexpressed for far too long. Henry David Thoreau named this quiet desperation. It is the subtle resignation we see in the tired eyes of the morning commute. Henry David Thoreau named this quiet desperation. It is the subtle resignation we see in the tired eyes of the morning commute. Phillips Brooks described it as the sensation of feeling the thing we ought to be, beating beneath the thing we currently are. We spend decades wearing a false self, a persona constructed for survival. We learned early that love was not unconditional. It was earned through performance. To maintain attachment, we sacrificed our authenticity, smoothing out the parts of ourselves that were too much. We became the achiever, the caretaker, or the stoic. But the mask that once protected the child eventually becomes a prison for the adult. You are living a script you did not write. Today, we examine the architecture of rebirth, the dismantling and rebuilding of the human mind. We will explore how to stop performing and start becoming. This is not about a new habit. It is a psychological revolution, for the life you save will be your own. Carl Jung proposed that psychological suffering is not a malfunction. It is a signal, a curative factor, attempting to communicate a truth. Anxiety and depression are often the psyche's way of alerting us to an inadequate approach to life. Much like physical pain. When you touch a hot stove, the pain is not the problem, it is the solution. It compels the withdrawal that saves your hand from destruction. Most people seek only to medicate the signal into silence. They want to feel less anxious about a career they hate, rather than changing the life that causes the dread. They seek comfort within their prison rather than escape from it. But Jung warned us, anyone who takes the safe road is as good as dead. Rapid transformation rarely occurs to those content with life. It requires the fertile soil of acute suffering or utter disillusionment. William James noted that the securest way to the twice-born state is through a radical pessimism, a realization that the old way is no longer viable. Suffering compels the individual to come to terms with the foundation of their being. It is the alarm system of consciousness, saying, this is not enough. If you ignore these signals for too long, you commit an ontological crime, you remain haunted by what might have been. Soren Kierkegaard called this the sickness unto death, a state where a person fails to become who they truly are. It is the slow erosion of never fully choosing to live. The knowledge sits in the chest like a stone, a weight that cannot be ignored. We must listen to the discomfort. We must ask, what is this pain trying to tell me? Instead of, how do I make it stop? Because before transformation happens on the outside, it starts as a silent, psychological revolution on the inside. We must be willing to face the fire. We must be willing to sacrifice the false self to find the authentic one. The time for beginning is now. Not someday, when conditions improve. Now. Most models of human development suggest a gradualist approach. Small steps, daily habits, breaking down bad routines over time. This has great merit for most. But for some, we are mortal creatures with a limited capacity to endure suffering. If you have descended too deeply into a personal hell, if your life is so dysfunctional that small steps are nullified, the gradualist approach will not save you. You require what psychologists call quantum change, or a psychological rebirth. A radical shift in the perception of the world. Mythology tells us the rebirth is only granted to those who offer a sacrifice. The hero must appease the gods of change. Jung wrote, sacrifice always means the renunciation of a valuable part of oneself. Through it, the sacrificer escapes being devoured by the past. We are often locked in our problems because we cannot recognize that the ways of life that once served our survival now cause our suffering. As Nietzsche put it, the snake which cannot shed its skin perishes. If we do not risk a break with the past, we stagnate in our worn-out ways. Rollo May called this the dying of one attitude. One can choose to kill a neurotic strategy, and find that he can choose to live as a freer self. This dying of part of the self is followed by a heightened awareness, a sense of possibility that was previously. Sometimes the mere act of sacrifice is enough to cure what ails us. But more often, the sacrifice leads to the fire. You must be ready to burn in your own flame. How could you rise anew if you have not first become ashes? Transformation is not an addition. It is a sacred destruction. You cannot become a phoenix if you have not first become the debris. In sacrificing the old way, we discover we have nothing to fill the void. This is the liminal phase, the space between who you were and who you are becoming. In this space, you are both the mourner and the newborn. It is a period of spiritual undoing that must occur before reorganization can begin. This phase is often mistaken for clinical depression. But neurologically, it is the neural pruning necessary for a new life order. Your brain's default mode network becomes highly active. It is rewriting your personal story, trying to find a more extensive balance with the world. Jung explained that this loss of balance differs from a psychotic breakdown only by the fact that it leads, in the end, to greater health. The chaos begets new forms of order. But to diminish the risks of a breakdown, an active approach is crucial. You must be the explorer of the chaos. You are not a passive observer pushed by forces. Your goal is to experiment with novel ways of ordering your life, to fill the void left by the sacrifice. This is the identity project. Every new story you tell about yourself, if repeated and emotionally charged, embeds itself neurologically as your new truth. You must be radically honest. Here is what I feel, here is what I have avoided, here is what still hurts. That honesty breaks the psychological defenses. You stop trying to change from a place of self-rejection, and start evolving from a place of self-understanding. This is the integration of the shadow. You stop fighting your darkness, and start learning its language. Every descent is followed by an ascent. The vanishing shapes are shaped anew, and a truth is valid only if it suffers change. We become what we practice being. The rewiring truly begins when the pain of staying the same outweighs the fear of change. Transformation is neurobiological construction. Every sensory input, every conversation, is shaping your neural wiring. You are physically reshaping your mind when you choose differently. But you must hold the discomfort until the belief is forced to change. Your brain craves stability. This is homeostasis. Your ego resists change because its job is to maintain the predictable pathways. Growth feels like chaos because your inner system is trying to restore the old balance, even when that balance is suffocating you. The person leans forward, the rubber band stretching to its limit. Focus on purposeful behavior. Do what reality sends that needs doing. When you get good at the doing, the feelings stop giving you such trouble. Abraham Maslow defined self-actualization as the fulfillment of a mission. It is not a destination, but an unceasing trend toward unity. Maslow warned, if you plan on being anything less than you are capable of being, you will be unhappy all the days of your life. Success is not an achievement. It is a fuller knowledge and acceptance of your own intrinsic nature. Kindness toward yourself expands your capacity to change. When you approach discomfort with curiosity instead of judgment, the fear center calms down. The identity must shift before the behavior can sustain itself. You must say, I am the kind of person who takes care of my environment. The Stoics used a tool for clarity, memento mori. Remember death. Not as a morbid obsession, but as a tool for big choices. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. Someday is a fantasy, a sophisticated excuse for fear. Time is the one absolutely non-renewable resource. You are drawing down an account whose balance remains hidden until the final withdrawal. Urgency is the only rational response. You can choose the sacrifice now. Or, if you remain an immovable pillar of the past, change will be forced upon you. Jung called involuntary sacrifice an unmitigated catastrophe. It is the nervous breakdown that occurs when you refuse to evolve. The discomfort of growth is acute but purposeful. The pain of stagnation is chronic and pointless. Nurses of the dying report the most common regret. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, rather than the life others expect. Do not sweat the small things. Death reveals their true scale. Follow your heart, for you have nothing to lose. The catastrophic risk is not the sacrifice, it is the waiting. Transformation is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you were before the world told you who you were supposed to be. It is a return to a version of yourself that was always whole, but forgotten. The false self was just a costume. You outgrow your old self without even trying to destroy it. The conversations you no longer tolerate, the thoughts that no longer dominate. Transformation isn't a ladder. It's a spiral. You revisit the same lessons, but at higher levels of consciousness. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. This is the essence of becoming. Not wait for the perfect moment. It is a mirage. There is only now, and the commitment you make to yourself. Stop performing. Start becoming. The life you save will be your own.